of Fort York.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is for the Minister of Health. November is Diabetes Awareness Month, and we know that the Minister of Health knows about it because she tweeted about it, but does she also know that diabetes is the leading cause of blindness in Canada? And that's why it's so important that people with type 1 diabetes, like Thomas Young and Jacob, who are Spadina Fort York constituents, can get an eye exam. But they haven't been able to get an eye exam because of this government's unwillingness to negotiate a fair deal with Ontario's optometrists. Ontario's children and seniors are also not able to get the eye care that they need, including the 7-year-old daughter of Jugbeer, who needs her first prescription glasses so that she can read the chalkboard at school, and seniors including Gita Schwartz, Rob Whalen, Myrna Copeland, Candy Gill, and her husband, who are experiencing vision loss. In fact, it has been 77 days since anyone has been able to receive OHIP-covered eye exams. So will the government stop spinning excuses, truly value our residents' health and eyesight, and enter into good faith bargaining to achieve a fair deal with Ontario's optometrists?
Minister of Health.
Well, I can certainly agree with the member with his question that it is very concerning that many young people are not receiving the treatment that they need, and many seniors aren't as well. But that is not because the government is not paying for these OHIP-covered services. We continue to pay for them. The fact of the matter is that the Ontario Association of Optometrists has decided not to provide these services. They are demanding certain outcomes before we even start into negotiations. They broke off the negotiations with the mediator of their choice. They asked for $39 million in back payments because their previous agreement ran out in 2011 under the previous government. We want to make things right with them. We paid that $39 million into their account. They've asked for an increase going forward on the same basis that physicians would receive. We are offering that at 8.48%, retroactive to April 1st of this year, and we want to go into negotiations with them to discuss their overhead costs. These are all things that they've asked for. These are all things that we're willing to discuss. We ask them to come.
Thank you. And the supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government continues to give excuses like the 8.48% that they just mentioned, which would increase funding to $48 per exam. But an independent audit says that they need at least $75 per exam just to cover their costs without actually the optometrists being paid. The government says they are open to negotiations, but they refuse to even offer cost recovery funding to restart those negotiations. My leader, the leader of the official opposition NDP, and the president of the Association of Optometrists both wrote to the minister last week asking for a fair deal. Even a member of the government's own caucus publicly admitted the government uses quote-unquote heavy-handed tactics and quote-unquote opted to ignore this important file. When will the government stop spinning excuses and negotiate a fair deal so that Spadina Fort York optometrists like Dr. Deepak Malkani, Dr. Shannon Fernandez, Dr. Melissa Yoon, Dr. Mario Santos, and Dr. Abraham Yoon can get back to doing what they want to do, what they were trained to do, which is to assist people with their eye care?
Minister of Health.
Well, the fact of the matter is our government is very anxious for optometrists to continue providing these services to people under 18, to people over 65, and everyone else in between. But we have offered to go back to the table. The mediator has set out some terms that he wants to see abided by in order for the arbitration to continue. We've agreed to do that. We have agreed with all of those conditions, but the optometrists have not. We want to make sure that we can cover as many of their costs as possible, but we need to see what their overhead costs are to do our proper due diligence as custodians of public funds. We want to reach a deal that's going to be fair to the taxpayers of Ontario and fair to the optometrists. We want to put a group together to work with the optometrists to look into these issues. So all we need at this point, because we are ready, willing, and able to pursue those negotiations, we need the optometrists to come back to the table. So if you're speaking with those optometrists, would you please ask their association to come back to the table so we can complete a deal and make sure everyone receives the eye care that they need in the province of Ontario?
And remind the members to